Hey, everybody, it's Tommy Canale, and welcome back to Before the Lights podcast, the show that tells you how they made their mark. She was the 2020 L'Oreal Paris Woman of the Worth National Honoree, the founder of the Born to Run Foundation. She was a D1 lacrosse player that is now the face of the 2024 Paralympics, a USA Paralympian holding the U.S. record in the 100 meter, and she's also on the USA Paris snowboarding team. She was the first above-the-knee amputee on season 43 of Survivor. Our New Hampshire resident, please welcome to the show, Noelle Lambert. Noelle, welcome to Before the Lights.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You attended Londonderry High School, graduated in 2015, a three-sport athlete in soccer, basketball, the team MVP, two-time All-State lacrosse player. What was Noelle's outlook on life at that time?
It's really funny. I was that type of athlete that coaches loved and hated at the same time because I'm a very competitive person. You put me into any game scenario, I'll give it my all 100%. But when it came to practice, I never really tried. I was always the type of athlete that would kind of be extremely lazy. I would never put in any extra work. In the weight room, I would hide. And I just, I didn't really even realize this about myself, but I was just that type of person that never went above and beyond. And to think back on it and to think if I actually did put in that extra work, where would I be now? Would I have played at one of the top Division I programs in the country? I was that type of, I have three older brothers, so I was always competitive because of them. I was always trying to outwork them. But don't get me wrong. If you put me in a game, that's why I was able to earn myself a scholarship, is because I'm very tough, physically and mentally, and I would just always give it my all. But when it really mattered during practice, in the time that I should have been putting in so much work, I really wasn't.
I'm a former college basketball coach, so you're what I refer to as a gamer. Turn the lights on and let you go. But in practice, you're going to get nothing out of you.
Yeah. It was always I had a great relationship with all of my coaches, but they were just always looking at me like, all right, Noelle, you actually need to do something today.
So then how did you get recruited to UMass Lowell?
I put in the work when I needed to. So when I was playing club lacrosse, and I was going to tournaments, it's all about how you perform in front of the recruiters during those types of tournaments in the summer. So I was playing extremely well. Luckily, I played on Granite State Elite. They have an amazing program, and they help all these girls play collegiate lacrosse. So I had an amazing support system to get me to where I needed to be. And then UMass Lowell kind of came knocking at my door, and I found out that they were going to be a newly Division I program. So that I love that. I love that about the university. I loved having, being a part of a growing program. And I fell in love with the campus instantly. I fell in love with the coach. And it was very simple, actually. UMass Lowell was kind of the one and only school that I really put all my marbles into. And I'm so fortunate enough to have it work out.
Did something then change for you? Because your freshman year, you started all 17 games. You tied for first on the team with 15 goals, second on the team with 6 assists. You scored a career-high 4 goals and 1 assist versus Manhattan. You're named to the American East All-Rookie team. So did did you change the way you were looking at the sport then?
No, I didn't. I think I got worse. Actually. It was so funny because we would be in the weight room and I would be hiding behind the door. But it was so funny. We would do run tests. We would do run drills every single practice. And no, I was never really first. But then there was this one run drill where they told us the first person to cross the finish line is done. They don't have to do it again. And I actually came in first, killed everybody, and they were looking at me like, all right, Noelle, you just kind of screwed yourself because we know how fast you really are now. But no, I really didn't realize it until after my accident, type of player that I was. And that's really like what put me into like a kind of a funk. And it just really made me regret, and looking back and just realizing that I went through the motions 19 years of my life. That was really tough for me.
The accident, 2016, first time you're on a moped that you rented at Martha's Vineyard. It changed your life. Explain to my listeners what happened.
Yeah, so myself and one of my teammates decided that we wanted to go to Martha's Vineyard to just visit one of our other friends, and we just kind of wanted to do like a big last summer vacation. And I'd never been to Martha's Vineyard before, and so when we got there, it was kind of like we had no form of transportation. So I had never personally been on a moped before, and my friend who was with me at the time, she had never been on one either. So I was like, okay, I'll drive, no biggie. And then so I mean, 1 minute we're on our way to the beach. It's a Saturday morning. It's beautiful weather, and then the next moment I see a dump truck heading in the opposite direction as me. And I kind of just instantly like I blacked that part out, but because of the weight distribution, because of the main roads having so much sand on it, I just kind of veered left and lost control. And then the next moment, I remember just laying on the ground and lifting up my legs and just realizing that my left leg was completely gone. It was completely severed on the scene. And the first thing I thought of, it was sports and it was lacrosse, because that's who I was. I mean, that's really what described me as a person. I really wasn't passionate about anything else other than sports. So I was laying there thinking that my life was going to be over and that I was never going to be able to walk again, let alone play sports.
Did you realize then, Noelle, at that time that your leg was going to have to be amputated, or was it later?
So at the scene, everything, it was completely severed. My left leg, it was completely severed, everything below the knee. And so I was like asking people if they were going to be able to reattach it. And then when I was in surgery, they ended up having to amputate. They ended up having to take the knee because it was too mangled. And so that's how I became an above knee amputee. So waking up the next day, I mean, I knew what had happened. I knew that my leg was gone. And I think, that helps a little bit, and it helps me realize like, okay, I already knew that my leg was, I mean, I think I would have reacted differently if they had to amputate my entire leg, like during surgery, and then I had to wake up with it being completely gone. But waking up the next day, that's really when the emotions set in. That's when I really started thinking, okay, what now?
What were your steps back then to recovery?
So I had to take, my steps were, I mean, it was very, I trusted the process. I took my time. I knew I had to get everything healed before I was going to be fitted for a walking leg. And so that took about 2.5 months. And so I was crutching everywhere. I was driving myself back and forth to practice every single day to kind of be with my teammates, to show them the support that they showed me. And then I actually, when I was walking to my prosthetic office to get my walking leg, I actually envisioned that I was going to get my running blade right then and there. And then I was going to be able to, return to practice the next week and I'd be good to go. And then so when I actually put my walking leg on and started walking with it, I had no idea how to use it. It has a microchip, so I have to charge it every night. So I have sensors. I have to put the correct amount of weight on it to bend. So that was really difficult. And then when I sat down and I was like, okay, where's my running blade? And that's when I learned that a specialized prosthetic, which is a running blade or a waterproof leg, they are not covered by insurance. Only your everyday walking leg is. So if I wanted to get a running blade, I was either going to have to apply to a foundation or I was going to have to pay for it myself. And they can range anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on what type of leg you want. So I'm sitting there thinking, I walked in feeling really great, or I crutched in thinking I really great. And then I was thinking, how am I going to come up with the money to raise this? Like, I don't have that type of money. And that's when I started learning about all these amazing foundations out there that support amputees like myself. And so I applied to so many of them. I applied to a few, and then I heard back from one, the Challenge Athletes Foundation. And they told me that they were going to grant me with a running blade, but it was going to be about a 6-month process. So I knew returning to play my sophomore year was going to be impossible. And then when I did receive it, I mean, I put my running blade on. I was harnessed on a treadmill, and I couldn't run for more than 10 seconds at a time because I was so out of shape. It was so uncomfortable. I had no idea how to use it. And I was just extremely embarrassed because, I was telling everybody I was going to be able to return. I was expecting a lot out of myself, and I didn't realize, what was going to go into it. And so, having the time to reflect when you're at practice and you're not able to practice, that's when I started realizing like the type of player I was before my accident. That's when I started realizing that I just went through the motions. And so something inside me clicked, and I told myself, if I ever do get the chance to play again, I'm going to give it my all. I'll practice 3 times a day, whatever it takes to get there. And that's exactly what I did. I had an amazing support system from my coaches, my teammates. They were putting extra work in with me day in and day out. They were never letting me use my amputation as an excuse or a reason not to do something. And they were just, they were showing me the tough love I needed, and they were never treating me like somebody with a disability.
Before we get you back to the time you got back on the field, how many different types of prosthetics do you have?
So right now, I have 4. I have 4 different prosthetics. So I have my everyday walking leg, I have my running blade, and then I have my waterproof prosthetic because my everyday walking leg, because I have to charge it, it's not waterproof. And then I actually have a snowboarding leg as well.
And during all this, did you reach out to a family member, Uncle Vincent? Because isn't he also an amputee, to get any kind of support from him?
Yes. So when I was in the hospital, my uncle, he actually recently passed a couple years ago due to diabetes, but he was an incredible man, and he was kind of my role model from the beginning because he was the only amputee I knew in my life. And I just remember him walking in there in my hospital room, and he's a jokester. And so he has a great sense of humor about it. He's cracking jokes with me, and he's making me feel comfortable and confident. So having that and having him, it really it made me realize, I will be okay. And it made me realize that I can have a positive outlook on this whole experience. And then I was fortunate enough to also have a lot of the marathon survivors coming in and visiting me in the hospital and reaching out to me. And, hearing everything that they've gone through, I couldn't sit there and feel sorry for myself. They were the ones telling me that I was going to be able to live the life that I want. So that's when I started to believe them. And that's when I made a vow to myself that I really didn't want to let this accident define the rest of my life or define the person that I wanted to become. Because if they were sitting there telling me that I was going to be okay, then I needed to believe it.
How long was it from the time of the accident till you got back on the field in any type of capacity, whether that was practice?
So I started practicing I started working out with a running blade 11 months after my accident. I started practicing, I would say, 13 months. And then when I returned to play, I think it was, I want to say it was 16, 17 months after a year and a half. And I was ready to play halfway through my junior season. I was ready to go.
Talk about the emotions of scoring a goal in your first game back on the field.
Yeah, when I was running on the field and, when my coach told me to go in, I instantly started to panic. I'm that type of person to doubt myself with everything that I do. But having the support from my teammates right there and having them, encourage me and egging me on, that really made me feel comfortable and confident. And I just had to realize, use all the lessons that your coaches gave you. This is just an everyday that you're at practice. It's nothing different. Your teammates and your coaches are comfortable enough to put you on the field to help put them in a position to win this game. So you need to be comfortable with it. And when I watched the video back, the best part about the whole video isn't me scoring. It's the reaction that I got from my teammates and my coaches and kind of sharing that whole moment with them, because it really wouldn't have been possible without them. If it was up to me, I would have quit probably day 2. But they were always the ones never letting me quit, they were always holding me accountable. And just to be able to say, like, I was the first above knee amputee to play lacrosse, collegiate lacrosse, that is something that's really special to me, because I want to pave a way for other amputees and make them realize that just because they're disabled doesn't mean they're incapable of doing something.
All right. So now I got a question, Noelle. You tell me about this background of this person that hides behind the door in the weight room and did not want to practice, but she'll show up on game day. So how does that person get into sprinting and running? I'm a long distance runner, and I know the time and effort you have to put into that. So to be able to become a sprinter and a runner, I know you have to put in the work. So how does that transition happen?
Yeah, I'm just a really stubborn person, and I'm never satisfied with anything that I do. I'm always looking for, something bigger and better to do. But fun fact about me, I hated running. I hated everything to do with it.
Me too.
Yeah, I even after my accident, when I had to do run tests, I would try to use my prosthetics to get out of it. I'd be like, I have one leg. I'm not going to be able to keep up with you guys, but everyone would just laugh at me and say, shut up. But I had the opportunity from somebody, a part of the Paralympic track and field world. They reached out to me and they said, hey, have you ever thought about running track and field? And I was like, I hate running, but this is actually a really cool opportunity to represent my country and to go to the Paralympics, even if it's something that I'm not great at. Like maybe it's something that I could get better at. So that's kind of how it really just fell in my lap. And I really just started training immediately. I just showed up to the track. I had no idea what I was doing. And I just signed myself up for the first track meet that I saw.
And then in May in 2019, you win a race in Arizona. And then November of 2019, you break the U.S. women's record in Dubai with a time of 16:31 in a fourth place finish. What was that feeling like of you all of a sudden, yeah, I'll take on sprinting and running and give it my all, to now you're breaking records?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a huge testament to show who my teammates were when I was playing lacrosse. I mean, I didn't realize that I was getting myself prepared, getting myself ready for, sprinting the 100-meter when I was training every single day with people with two legs. I mean, every time I did a run test, I would have to, if I came in last, I would have to do 10 burpees. And then if they came in last, they would have to do 10 burpees because someone with one leg was beating them. So, I mean, I was getting that tough love, and I'm just a really competitive person. So if you put me on a line and then you say ready, set, go, especially in a competitive nature, especially in a game-like scenario, I'm going to give it my all. But I have to give the credit, especially in the beginning, to my teammates for lacrosse, because they were the ones that helped me get there. And then when I was able to kind of find a track coach and find a teammate who was a baloney amputee and started getting my butt kicked every single day by her, that was preparing me. And that was what was getting me ready for those moments.
Are you then a determined person, or are you more stubborn mindseted?
I think a little bit of both. 50-50.
Okay.
I'm more, maybe 70% stubborn. I'm just like that type of person that if you tell me I can't do something, I'm just going to want to do it even more. And that's been my whole mindset of growing up. It's what made me a pain in the ass to deal with my poor parents. But yeah, I think it's definitely just like the type of person I am, where I'm just always, especially, I mean, when I look back at my accident now, like I am grateful for it. I'm so happy that it happened to me, because it made me realize that I have to put in hard work to get places, and it makes me appreciate the hard work and the practice that it takes. And now I've actually become a real athlete, where I can appreciate those things and I can understand that I need to put in that work at practice.
Off of that, what you just said then, interesting comment. Are you saying that your accident could have been the best thing that ever happened to you?
I'm absolutely saying the accident is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because not only did it change the type of athlete I was, it changed the type of person I am, and it's really made me think what's important in life and made me realize it.
Noelle, what are your daily challenges that somebody that may not be familiar with somebody that's an amputee has to go through?
I mean, honestly, I don't really have any more. I mean, I don't even think about being an amputee. It's crazy. I mean, you get so used to it, you get so accustomed to it, and you don't even think about it. I think the only time that I ever realized that I'm amputee and it humbles me is walking upstairs. That's about it. I mean, because I can't bend my knee, so I have to go like 2 at a time and take one step. So that's about the only thing. Everything else, I mean, I'm doing things now with my life that I never could have ever imagined, picture myself doing. I don't even think I would have been able to do any of it with 2 legs. So I honestly, you know, I'm never the type of person to say, you know, poor me. I hate the pity. I hate all of that, you know, people pitying me, because I actually think I've become such a better person. And I think I've honestly have been born to be an amputee.
I love your mindset. Absolutely love your outlook on life. Let's talk about Born to Run Foundation provides young amputees with specialized prosthetics that allow them to lead fulfilling lives and pursue their athletic dreams. You've raised $1 million and have given over 20 prosthetics. Where'd the idea come from?
So when I was actually in college still, and I received my running blade and I received my waterproof leg from different foundations. Seeing the work that those foundations do for other amputees like myself, it really hit home with me, and it really made me realize, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. And there can never be too many foundations out there that support people. So luckily, I have an amazing family. And my amazing uncle and my amazing aunt, they were able to kind of, in my mother, they were the ones kind of getting everything set up, getting it cleared by the IRS, getting it to be a legitimate nonprofit while I was a junior in college. So to be able to donate my first, the foundation's first prosthetic when I was a senior in college, and to be able to kind of be in that room, it was to a little 3-year-old boy, and we were giving him a running blade, and to kind of see his reaction, his family's reaction, it just hit home with me. And it was a full circle moment, because I was that person just wanting to receive, you know, a specialized prosthetic to live the life that I want. And so to be able to finally gift it and to see their reactions, it was just so amazing. And it was a very emotional day, just because I want to be part of his life now. And I want to see him succeed. And with every donation that we do, I want to be a part of their experience. I want to be a part of their journey, because for me personally, I wouldn't be where I am today without multiple foundations, without multiple mentors of mine. So to be able to give it back, that's something that I'm extremely proud of.
Outstanding. I give you a big applause for that, and I hope you nothing but success. Also, with this Born to Run Foundation, as I said in the opening, you are the 2020 L'Oreal Paris Woman of Worth National Honoree. I know the answer, but I want you to tell my listeners who surprised you with the news on the TV show Extra tonight.
Oh my God, you're going to kill me when I forget. I know her face. I know the actress. I'm just terrible with names.
It'd be Helen Mirren.
Yeah, Helen Mirren. So I'm actually am a huge fan of her. I am a movie buff. Like I love movies, but I'm the same way with music. Like I know every single song, every single country song I know. I just never know who sings it. But yeah, so it was actually, I forget what day it was, but I think it was the night that the voting was closing or the day after. And when she popped up on the screen and she said, you're the national honoree, I didn't even hear her say it. I was so blown away, and I think I was in shock. And then I immediately just screamed to my mom. And I was just like, I think I just won. But I mean, it's a huge test. I mean, the L'Oreal Paris, what they do every single year, is incredible. They find amazing and inspiring women to donate money to them and their charities. It's so special, and it just comes to show the amazing support system that I have. And having people vote for me in the foundation, it was such a special moment. And honestly, it was the time when COVID was happening. So we were, as a foundation, we weren't able to have any fundraisers. So we weren't able to make any donations. So when we received that, we were able to make 3 donations just from that alone.
And now she's back to being prevalent. Not that Helen's never been not prevalent, but now she's back on the screen with Harrison Ford in the new show
I know.
1923.
I just saw that. I'm obsessed with Yellowstone.
Yes,
my
me
boyfriend's
too.
been saying we need to watch the other one.
Yeah, 1923 is fantastic. Do you remember, Noelle, what you received for being that honoree?
Yeah, so I received $25,000 along with the additional $10,000. So the foundation did. So that was $35,000 total, and it was incredible.
Love that.
Make a difference with Free as a T. Did you know 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental health challenge every year? Free as a T is giving the gift of good. For every t-shirt purchased, $5 will be donated to the Mental Health Coalition to support mental health resources for the millions of people who need them. Plus, for every purchase, 1 shirt is donated to someone in need. Free your mind and shop with a cause. Buy one, give one for $45 and learn more about us and our mission at freeasat.com or click the link in the show notes. Make a difference, one tea at a time. Happy tea time.
March 2021. How does somebody, or were you always into snowboarding, but how did you get onto the USA Paris snowboarding team?
So I had never snowboarded in my life. My boyfriend is a big snowboarder. He's a great snowboarder. So he kind of kept telling me, "Hey, you should try this. Like, and I was like, all right, it looks fun, something to do. And I was actually, I mean, it's crazy because I picked up snowboarding, I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6 months before the Tokyo Paralympic Games. So it wasn't the smartest idea of mine to start a brand new sport. And potentially, so my coach wasn't too happy, my track coach. But once I kind of learned how to do it and learned how to actually get down the mountain without falling, then I, put it on hold, and then I went to Tokyo. And then when I got back, I was like, okay, now I want to put all my marbles in snowboarding. And then so Amy Purdy, the double Bologna amputee, who's a Paralympic snowboarding medalist, her and her husband have a foundation that support amputee athletes that want to pursue snowboarding competitively. So I reached out to them, and my boyfriend and I packed the car, and we drove out to Colorado, and we were staying there for a month and a half. And then I just decided, okay, why not compete? Why not throw myself into it? It's the best way to learn. And I was able to qualify for my first world champs. I mean, I got my ass kicked. I came in 4th out of 4 people, but I knew that season it was going to be only meant for, me learning to get better. And I mean, for me to be able to compete against the best of the best, that was really, really special because I'm watching them and I'm learning from them. So that was really important for me.
I love how you just throw yourself into things and go, let's just see how this works out. If I finish last, who cares? I'll learn. I'll figure it out as I go. But I love the way you do that. I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in. I
mean, I just say yes to everything now. I mean, and it's a blessing and a curse.
Season 43 of Survivor. How did you get casted?
So, I mean, I've been actually a big fan of the show for a very long time. My mom is the biggest diehard Survivor fan there is. Has never missed a season, never missed an episode.
That's me as well.
She was telling me for years, Noelle, you got to try to get on the show. And I was kept telling her, Mom, I've never seen an above knee amputee on the show before. I've seen 2 below knee amputees, but we are entirely different. I mean, I'm a lot more high maintenance. And it was so funny when I was in Tokyo for the Paralympic Games, I received a DM on Instagram. And it was from the head casting director. And he just said, hey, and he introduced himself. He's like, have you ever thought about being on Survivor? And I was just like, this is a scam. This isn't real. And then so I messaged him back, and then he gave me his phone number, and he's like, give me a call. If you don't believe me, give me a call. So called him, found out it was real. And I'm like, okay. And then I told him, I was like, you realize I'm an above knee amputee, right? And he was like, we don't care. We love to see people with these types of challenges, these types of stories, want to see people overcome it. So they just kind of threw me into the whole application process. So I created a video, and then it was so funny because I was actually going through my whole application process while I was traveling for snowboarding, and all the competitions for snowboarding are out in Europe. So, I mean, it was 11 o'clock one night. I was in Netherlands and they tell us like every single phone call you get, every single FaceTime, just answer it. So I get a FaceTime and I'm like, okay, I got to answer this. And I pick up the phone and then it's Jeff Probst, just Jeff. Like it's nobody else. It's just him. And I'm like, hi. He was like, why is it so dark there? Like because he's in LA. And I was like, well, I'm actually here competing for snowboarding. I'm in Netherlands. Like I'm telling, and then he's like, I thought you were a track and field athlete. I was just like, yeah, now I want to be a dual sport athlete. And like I was telling him, and so every single round, you just want people to love you. You want people to like you, and then you make it to the next round. So out of a 5 to 10 minute FaceTime call, I got Jeff to like me. And then, I mean, I thought in the back of my head that I wasn't going to get casted. I was like, they're going to come back and say they found someone else. So I wasn't really taking it. I mean, I was taking it seriously, but I wasn't really believing it. And then about a month and a half, I think it was like at the end of February, I got a call, like I got a text from the head casting director. He's like, hey, can I give you a call for a sec? And I expected, like, if I was going to get casted on the show, it was going to be a big deal. Like, they were going to be like, hey, join this Zoom at this time. And, like, with all the producers. Like, so I was just like, he's calling me to let me know that I'm not going to be on it. So I called him. He's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. Just kind of stuck in my house. There's a blizzard out right now. And then all he says was, well, do you want to leave the blizzard and go to Fiji because you're on season 43 of Survivor? I mean, to say I wanted to be excited, I mean, to say I was excited would be a lie. I was scared shitless. I was scared to death. My boyfriend was sitting right next to me, and I looked at him, and I was just like, I don't think I can do this. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And I mean, I'm acting like, I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. I hang up the phone and I'm scared to death. I'm like, how? I'm like, why did I just do this to myself? And for the whole month and a half leading up to this whole, like leading up to me leaving, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I would wake up in a panic, just thinking, how am I going to be able to do this? I am an amputee. How am I going to be able to do these challenges? How am I going to do the eating? How am I going to sleep on bamboo? Like I was... To say I was excited, I mean, that would be a lie, honestly. But I kept telling myself, I have to do this for the representation of the disabled community. I have to do this for the amputees out there. And I have to show everybody, I have to show the world that just because I am an amputee, it doesn't mean I'm incapable of doing it. And I wanted to prove myself. And it's also really cool to being able to say you've done Survivor, like arguably one of the hardest reality TV shows. I wanted to do it. So I remember having to call my prosthetist and to let him know that I was doing the show. And what everybody doesn't realize is I have to think about, you know, the type of leg I want to use. I have to think about the weight loss, because when I lose weight dramatically, that means my leg is losing weight and my leg is held on due to suction. So if I lose weight, my leg loses weight, and then it's not going to stay on. So every week I was there up until the time I had to leave, and we were coming up with all these different things. Luckily, the production, the whole crew, they said, whatever you need, we got you. Don't stress about it. So they let me bring a waterproof leg, and then they let me bring a running blade. And I just remember, you know, coming up with all like my game plan, my whole strategy, like what am I going to do? What am I not going to do? I just had to be well liked, because if I'm not well liked, they're going to be like, all right, easy vote, bye. So I knew I had to prove myself in the beginning. I was scared to death. I was just like, how are people going to look at me? How are people going to, it was a whole thing. I mean, it was so funny because I just went, we had to go to LA for quarantine. Then we had to fly to Fiji, and I was just in LA last week, and I passed the hotel that we were staying at, and I had instant PTSD. I was like, oh my God.
So let me ask you this, Noelle. Before we get to the reward challenge, that was a big moment for you on the show. Just being there, what kind of feeling of accomplishment did you have for yourself of just actually being in the game?
You know, it's so crazy because like you're literally thinking day by day. Like I just need to make it tomorrow. You're like, you never want to think too far ahead, because then that means, okay, you're probably getting voted off. And you think if you think you're in a comfortable position, then you're not playing the game. I mean, but everybody's different. Everyone plays a different way. So it was crazy because 2 days before I left, they sent us an email saying, if you do not make the jury, if you do not make the merge, you will be flying home on this date. And so to be able to tell my mom and my boyfriend, listen, if you do not hear from me, or if you don't hear from production by this date, that means I made it to the merge, I made it to the jury. So like every single day, I'm like, oh my God, they haven't heard anything. They're probably freaking out. But it was, being out there, what a lot of people don't realize is you become a family with your castmates because 95% of the stuff that we talk about, the stuff that I say, it doesn't get aired on national television.
Right.
I mean, it makes sense. They have to put everything. So like you have so many genuine conversations with everybody, and you got like us as a cast, we're helping each other get through the whole experience. The eating part actually wasn't as bad as I thought, because I actually starved myself before going out there and only eat once a day for the whole month and a half before to kind of get my body prepared. But yeah, only eating coconut for that first 8 days. That was the only thing that was going into my body. Was wild. And it was just like, it was an accomplishment. You feel like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell people I did this. But it was really cool. And I loved every single person. I mean, especially on the Vessi tribe, I wasn't doing any of those challenges by myself. So to kind of have them helping me through it, that was incredible. And it just kind of makes you realize that you go through like a whole experience and you go through like a lot of different things, and it just makes you grateful for it.
The reward challenge that you came from behind to win after having difficulty at getting over the balance beam. How long did it take you to get over that balance beam?
I think a good 25 to 30 minutes. Maybe 20, 25 minutes. I was on the balance beam for a very long time.
And what was the temperature? How hot was it outside?
Oh, it's like 100 degrees. Like the sun is beaming on you. And it's so funny because I walked into that challenge and like and then I see a balance beam and I'm like, well, I'm not winning this. I was like, there's no shot I'm winning. I was like, hopefully someone can bring me on this amazing reward, because I didn't even think about who I was going to bring. I was like, there's no shot I'm winning. So, but you know what? Like, I'm so happy that they included the balance beam in a challenge like that, because the last thing I wanted was for people to be like, oh, they modified the challenges, because they didn't modify anything for me. They did. And I was so appreciative of that. And I wanted the tough challenges and I wanted to do hard things to kind of prove it to myself and to everybody else that I can't do it. So when I was just trying to get across it, I mean, I was trying every single way possible. And I was about to quit. I was about to be like, all right, I'm done. But then I heard people cheering for me, and I heard like my castmates cheering for me. And I think it was Carla. Carla, when she said, like, let's go, Noelle. And at that point in the game, I wasn't working with Carla at all. I mean, we had genuine conversations, but we were never working together. So to hear her kind of cheer for me, that lit a fire under my ass. And I was just like, okay, I need to at least get across this. I was like, if I get across this, it'll be good.
Was sweat an issue then with your leg for that?
So yeah, not when I was on the balance beam. Once I got over the balance beam, had to untie those knots, and then what you had to do is you had to throw the sandbag on top of that platform. What it showed on TV is I got it on my second try. I didn't get it on my second try. That's insane. I mean, but they have to cut it up because of timing and everything.
Right.
Everyone else probably threw it over 100 times. I would say I threw it like 20 to 30 times. And so every time you miss, you have to run back and forth. So with the heat and with me losing weight, I'm running back and forth. So I'm holding my leg on at this point. And I am just like, Jeff points it out. He's like, are you losing like your prosthetic? And I'm just like, I'm losing weight. I'm losing suction. I'm sweating. Like, it was to the point, like I was taking my time on each throw because I was going to have to take it off and hop. So I just remember when I threw it and then I stuck it, and then instantly just all these emotions came to me. I mean, it really reminded me of the moment when I was returning to play lacrosse again. And to kind of have the entire cast like come over and hug me, that was so special. But I always say this, like, I think I was also I was crying also because I didn't want to make the biggest decision of having to choose people to come on this reward with me. I didn't want to do it. I instantly, like, I had a good cry for about 30 seconds. And then I was like, holy crap, I'm going to have to make these decisions, and people are staring at me. Everyone's starving. I have no idea I'm going to do this.
It was one of the best moments of the show from the reward standpoint to see you just fight through all this adversity and then get to the end. For me, I didn't even care if you won or not. I was just like, just get to the end. Then when you won, it just really made it even that better.
I was like, just get across this beam. Then I'll be like accomplished. I don't even care about anything else.
Right.
It was so cool. It was so cool. And it was special that it was on my vote off episode. I mean, it was a roller coaster of emotions, but it really was the best way possible to go out. And it was crazy because I had a huge watch party, like the night before Thanksgiving. I had a huge watch party and nobody was expecting me to go home. So it was a cherry on top getting to kind of spend it with my loved ones and everything. So, but it was, I mean, I went out in the best way possible. I mean, I received nothing but love from fans and the whole community. So I'm just extremely grateful for it.
How long did it take for you to recover after you got home?
Well, the funny thing is the deal with my track coach that I made, because he was on the verge of almost killing me, because when I started snowboarding and then I stopped competing for track, and then I came back and was practicing for a month, and I was like, okay, coach, I'm actually going on a national television show right now. And he was just like, what is going on? Why are you doing this to me? Because like, okay, you can go on Survivor, but you have to compete in nationals when you get home. So when I got home, I had 1 week to train for nationals in Florida. And I mean, my legs weren't fitting. I mean, I got my ass kicked at nationals. I knew that it was going to happen. But it took a while. I would say like physically it didn't take me as long, but like mentally, just like you go through this whole experience and then you think everyone's lying to you and you talk. Like everybody, you spend however many days and everybody's lying to you. So like every time you see people having a conversation, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you talking about me? It's crazy too, because you can't talk about it on social media. You can't admit to it like that you're on the show until CBS announces it. And it was the beginning of the summer and they weren't announcing it until September. So you really have to rely on, your family, and you have to rely on your castmates during that time, because they're the only ones that basically know everything. And so it was really special to kind of have the whole cast. I mean, we tried to get together a couple times, so that was really cool. It just makes you grow, and it makes you get a lot closer.
When did you film that season?
So we filmed it April 22nd. I left, and I believe we got to Fiji like maybe April 28th. And then I got home on Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. So it wasn't too long that you had to wait until the season aired. You said your mother is a huge fan and seen every season, every episode, as a lot of us, including myself, have. But how much were you able to tell your own mother beforehand?
So everyone in my family, all three of my brothers, my parents, my boyfriend, they all signed NDAs. So if I wanted to tell them, I could tell them.
Okay.
The only person I told everything to was my boyfriend. I didn't even tell my mom. Just because I kept telling her, I'm like, I want you to experience it. You're a huge fan of the show. Like, it'll be better for you to watch. And so, I mean, her knowing that I made the jury, like, it did help her a lot. I mean, I feel like if she didn't know if I made the jury or not, she would be hounding me a lot more. But I mean, so it was crazy because she was like figuring everything out. And I had because our season was the first season in a really long time that it wasn't spoiled on like Reddit, on the Survivor fan pages. Like, right. Typically the season like season 44. I already know everything that happens in season 4, which is crazy because it's all spoiled.
Right.
So, it was crazy because I was like, how are you figuring this stuff out? Like she knew everybody that went home pre-merge. Like I told her that, but then she was just like, and so I actually told her everything the week before my vote off episode, week or two before. I was like, I would rather have you know. And she could kind of sense it because like I was like, let's do this huge watch party. Let's do this. Like, and so, I mean, she knew everything. And then I didn't tell her who won for a little bit. And then the week before the finale, I ended up telling her who won. But it was actually really enjoyable to hold the secret to everyone. It's a lie. Like, it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Trust me, my friends, they try to get it out of me so many times.
Would you go back again?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to go back, especially knowing everything I do now. I mean, I feel like it's a blessing to get that experience given to you once. And if you were to have it handed to you again, you have to take it no matter what. But I don't know. I have a lot of competition for other returnees, so I don't know if I'd be asked to play again, but it was a really cool experience.
Going to make a complete switch. Tell me about the relationship between you and your service dog, Bailey.
Oh my God, this is actually so funny. So when I actually moved out of my house, out of my parents' house, and I bought a place with my boyfriend, I was not allowed to bring my dog with me.
Really?
It was because it was my parents' dog. It wasn't my dog. So the funny thing is when I moved out, I mean, I love Bailey. He's still my number one dog. He's still, my heart. But I actually got a new dog, and I got a full-size golden doodle, and so he is now my emotional support animal. So I have two.
So you have Bailey, and what's the other one's name?
His name is Ollie.
Ollie.
And he's very spoiled. He loves to come to the track with me. He loves all that. So it was so heartbreaking. I wanted to bring him with me, but he was attached to my parents. It makes sense.
Yep.
The poor dog. I mean, he has his own health issues. He needs his own service dog. So, but yeah, it's the best possible. I mean, I still get to see him all the time. They have puppy play dates, so that's nice.
What's on the future for you? What's next?
So I got World Championships coming up this summer for track. And I got snowboarding in the horizon for, Milan 2026, but I got Paris 2024 for track. So that's kind of my main goal right now. Who knows? If I ever get asked to do another reality TV show, I would love the opportunity to do it.
Listeners, keep your eyes peeled for Noelle Lambert to show up on your screen, either in the USA Paralympics, reality TV. Who knows what she might do? Just keep your eyes open. You'll probably see her. Noelle, thanks so much for taking some time and coming on the show, talking about your accident, your journey, and inspiring others. This is what it's all about.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and thank you for helping share my story. I truly appreciate it.
You are welcome. Listeners, go to the show notes. I'm going to put some links where you can get connected with Noelle, and make sure you follow me on Instagram. Thank you for listening to Before the Lights. I'm Tommy Canale. And until next time, everybody, a salute, a chin chin.